Morning. Hey, so it's a Wednesday morning and I was feeling a little inspired. And if you don't know me, I'm Catherine with Grief Inspired. And so what we do here is we talk about grief. And I was recently speaking with a very, very dear friend of mine who lost her mother recently to cancer. And she's having a hard time. She's deep in grief. She's very busy. So she has 3 children. She has an ex-husband that's problematic. She works full-time. She's got a house under construction. So all of these things are happening. And we kind of constantly continue to have these conversations about giving yourself some grace and not thinking that you need to be at 100% capacity, that you need to be doing everything perfectly, that, this is a hard time. And the idea and the goal is really, honestly, to survive it, to get through it, and use the time to be processing grief, and actually to grieve. Because as you all know, you have to get your grief out. It's one of the mantras that we say here. I need to get my grief out. And so she reminded me of how important the day-to-day of grief is. And I thought I would take some time and just spend it with you to let you know that you're not alone in this, that as you move through your grief, it can be really challenging and it can be really lonely. And sometimes we lose sight of what we're doing or why we're here. And so I want to just be with you in your grief a little bit. I want to hear from you. So let me know sort of where you are on your grief journey, who you lost, and what's most challenging. I've had a lot of changes in my life, and I have this magnet that I typically keep on the side of my refrigerator. I've moved. I have a new refrigerator now, and this is really the only thing that's on my refrigerator because I'm not a put a lot of stuff on your refrigerator kind of person. But I like having phrases and things in my life to remember what I'm doing and why I'm going through the things that I'm going and remembering what's important. And this one I think was really poignant for today. And it says that falling down is part of life. Getting back up is living. And I feel like the grief journey is lesson after lesson after lesson in learning how to get back up, because grief will knock you to your knees. If it's knocked you to your knees, let me know. That may be why you're here. So many of us don't really understand the magnitude of grief until it actually shows up in our world. And we're sometimes surprised by how all-encompassing our grief is and how it takes over everything, and we don't feel like ourselves, and we see ourselves differently, and we think, what's wrong with me? Am I doing this wrong? Why can't I just get back to normal? And so falling down is part of life. Getting back up is living. So I want you to take some time today and ask yourself, how are you choosing to get back up? How are you choosing to live? Because you certainly don't have to. I think everyone who grieves a significant loss of any kind has the right to just take as long as you need to lay flat on your back, stay in your bed, keep the windows closed, the blinds drawn, isolate yourself. You have the right to do that. But I think when we think of the people that we love, the people that we've lost, that they would want us to get back up. they would want us to keep on living. And so I just want to take a moment and acknowledge how hard grieving is. It's not easy. There are lots of people who choose not to do it, who choose to avoid it, repress it, push it down, act like it's not there, walk around saying I'm fine. We know here, if you follow me on YouTube, that's not how we do grief, that we work through it. But there are times when grief gets really challenging. And honestly, it's life in general as we grieve. There are times in our lives that get really, really difficult. And we don't know if we're going to be able to get back up. And this may be one of those times for you. You know, I lost Jackson 13 years ago. And I lost my dad a year and a half ago. And I've just gone through another period in my life where I had to choose to get back up. And it's getting back up that's living. And I'm not immune to this, right? And that's the one thing I want to leave with all of you. I know a lot of times I show up here as very happy and joyful, and I'm hopeful. And I want to encourage you and inspire you to keep on living. And that's what I want. That's who I want to be for you. So that when you have your hardest days, that I can be the one to lift you up and tell you like you're going to get through this and it's going to be okay. And maybe it sucks right now. But sometimes that happens to me too. And it happens to everybody. And the reason why I feel like I am most equipped to be able to help all of you is because I've been there. I've been there. I know the pain of loss. I know the pain of grief. I know what it means to get back up. And I want that for you. You know, that I had a comment on one of my videos that they have no one, that they're grieving completely alone and they have no one. And I don't want that to be the case. And so if you were the one who posted that and you're watching this, I want you to know that you're not alone. And our Facebook group, the Grief Inspired Facebook group, I think it's over 500 people now. It's a very select group of people. I don't just let anyone in there. It's not about making sure that we have lots of numbers. There's plenty of people who are grieving. And there's plenty of groups out there that are full of people who don't really want to get back up, who don't really want to live. They want to wallow in their pain and feel angry because it's not fair. And that's okay. What I don't want you to do is stay in that place for too long. And I want to take the focus off of all the things that are wrong, all the things that we lost, and put the focus on, but what did we have? Why are we grieving? And now with that grief, how are we gonna get back up and keep on living? And how are we gonna move forward? And how is our life different? And how does life have new meaning for us given what we now know? Because there is no doubt about it. You are a different person today than you were the day that you lost your loved one. Grief changes us. It just does. It can change you for the good. It can change you for the not so good. That's up to you. And so I want to just try to push you in the right direction. And sometimes when I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself too. I want to remind myself that this is the direction that I need to go in. And that it's an active process to make sure that the voices and the thoughts that are going off in our head are good ones, because we can find plenty of ones that are not good, that they will tear you down, they'll make you feel guilty, they'll leave you in resentment, they'll keep you stuck, they'll keep you lonely. That is sort of the natural tendency. And so it is work and it's a practice to take those thoughts and try to minimize them. They're never going to go away completely, but not focus on them and say, but what do I do want to feel like? How do I want to keep on living? What do I want that to look like for me? And why am I continuing at all? And maybe you need to go back and ask your loved one, whether you look up to the heavens when you ask the question, is like, how do I keep on going? What does that look like for me? And ask them and let them tell you. And what would they say? You know, I often wonder what Jackson would say to me. And I think that he would say, Mama, I want you to keep going. I want you to use my loss and help other people and share what you've gone through. And so that's what I try to do here. I'm not 100% sure what my dad would say. Let's do this together, right? You think about what your loved one would say, and I'll take a minute and think about what my dad would say. I think that he would say that he's proud of me, that he's proud that I'm helping other people. But I think he would also remind me, the way I often try to remind all of you, is that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. If you know someone else who's grieving and you're not really sure what to do, well, you just have to be with that person. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. You just have to show up. And so show up for them, but also show up for yourself. Cut yourself a break. You can do this. You can get through this. It's a new day today. Keep on living. Bye for now.